There is a war going on. It is a spiritual war, a war between truth and lies. Only one thing cuts through all lies and opinions. It is God's word. It is God's sword.
Now, our Lord, in the Last Supper, he had told them that before the night was over, they'd all be scattered. He gave a prophecy from Zechariah that the shepherd would be struck and the sheep would be scattered. He even said that, the hand of my betrayer is at the table, and they all together started going, just tell me it's not me. It's not me, is it, Lord? Is it I? Peter was, of course, the one to assert that even if all those other losers did, in fact, what he had said, that he, Peter, would never. He was absolutely sure of that. He wasn't lying. He just happened to be delusional. He thought more highly of himself and of his strength, and he was a strong guy. We'll see that in our text before us. Peter was a big, strong dude physically. You'll see him dragging a massive net with 153 fish in it. All of that, soaking wet, dragging it to shore. I mean, he's an able, very capable man. And in his own mind, greater than all the other guys. And he had a case to make for that. He believed he could make the case. But the Lord told him, Simon, Satan has asked for you. And that must have been freaky. Satan has asked for you. And I'm sure he and the others went, what? Really? I mean, Satan, like the one that was like asking about Job, was asking for me? Yeah, asking to sift you like wheat. To sift you. That doesn't sound pleasant at all. Nothing about that sounds exciting. And the Son of God, the Lord himself said, but I have prayed for you, that your faith will not fail. He said this to Peter. He said, and when you are restored, strengthen your brethren. When you are restored, strengthen your brethren. So his whole 3.5 years, Peter's objective was to strengthen Peter, to make the case that he is the greatest disciple of all time, that he is to be the general, the highest ranking under this Messiah king, that he's the one that would be the Joab to this David. And he, I think he was the apparent winner of whatever contest about who's the greatest. And the Lord said, that has been your way of life. But it's going to change. When, and that's the cool thing, it's not if, but when you are restored, strengthen your brethren. When you are restored, strengthen your brethren. Not if, well, that's pretty cool, isn't it? Not if, but when you're restored, strengthen your brethren. So you're going to come through this. I wonder about Peter's 3 days and 3 nights with the Lord in the tomb and dead, and if he wondered, if he said, that your faith won't fail. I prayed for you that your faith won't fail when you're restored. And I did he even think of those words? He said I would deny him. He said I would be restored. Is that what caused him to hang on? I don't know. We come to this, chapter 21, and the Lord has a plan to restore. That restoration that the Lord promised happens here in this chapter. Chapter 21, verse 1. After these things, Jesus manifested himself again to the disciples at the Sea of Tiberias. And he manifested himself in this way. He revealed himself in this way. Simon Peter, and Thomas called Didymus, Nathanael of Cana in Galilee, and the sons of Zebedee, and 2 others of his disciples were together. So there's 7 of them. Simon Peter said to them, I'm going fishing. And they said to him, we will also come with you. They went out and got into the boat, and that night they caught nothing. But when the day was now breaking, Jesus stood on the beach. Yet the disciples did not know that it was Jesus. So Jesus said to them, children, do you have any fish? I got to tell you, again, I don't think that's the best translation. I like the LSB, but children, this is grown men. The best, I think, a paraphrase, or the best modern or close to modern way that should be understood is, boys, have you caught anything? Or lads, have you had any success? It's what one man might say to another group of men that are working. Children, have you any fish? And they answered him, no. Do you have any fish? I don't like fishing. Well, maybe I should say I don't like fishing. I do like catching, but that seldom happens when I fish. There's always so much at stake when I was a kid fishing, and it took all the fun out of it. It was never so much fun, really. It was food. We had to get that food. But one thing I did not like is anybody asking me, especially when it was obvious, you caught anything? Yeah. I don't like that question. Maybe successful fishermen are different. Maybe they love it. They're waiting for somebody to ask you, caught anything? You go, oh, yeah, and they can put it on display. They can hold it up, or they can tell a story, right? These guys had fished all night long, and they caught nothing. Now, let's just go back to, what are they doing? They're not sure what they're doing. This is this period of time in between his resurrection and his ascension, and they've got questions. They've got all kinds of questions. They're uncertain about much. What should we be doing? He said, tarry. He said, wait. He said, I'll meet you in Galilee. Well, what do we do while we're waiting? And at some point or another, Peter said, I'm going fishing. Now, it is possible, as some have suggested, that their resources, sort of, material support, what they had been doing for 3.5 years with Messiah, it abruptly ended under the scandal of the crucifixion. And maybe that's it. I don't know. I really don't think that Peter was in need, but I got to do something. I'm going to go fish. Other guys, some of whom are experienced fishermen, said, we'll go with you. Nothing wrong with this. For some reason, there are those who teach through this, and I've heard them say that Peter's going back to the old life. He's going back to, he left his nets on the shore, now he's going back. I don't think so. It wasn't a vocational choice. It was today, I'm going fishing. I got to do something. I'm going to go fish. So these others come. But they were unsuccessful. What a drag. And they fished at night. They knew how to catch fish. They're not like me as a fisherman. I'm intolerant of the fish's wishes. And if you're going to be an effective fisherman, you've got to care a little bit about what they're into. And I'm not. I'm like, here's what I got for bait. Take it or leave it. Well, they usually leave it. And, somebody who really is good at this, who cares to really have success, will kind of get in the mind of the fish. Where are the fish? What are they doing? Where might I find them? What kind of places do they get? And what are they after right now? Because I'm going to get something that looks like that. But that's bait fishing. But even in this kind of fishing with a net, you got to know when, you got to know where. And these guys certainly, it was their profession. You can't beat somebody at their profession. Oh, I'm telling you. I've said that many times. As somebody who's engaged in renovating a house or building something at the church, I'm not a good carpenter. I can get it done. I'm not, I really hate sheetrock. I don't know why they invented that. I hate taping and mudding. Ugh, that's aggravating. Any of you know what it's like to put the tape on and the mud on, and then take it off, put it back on, take it off, put it back on, take it off? That'd make you crazy. Put it on, sculpt it back down. You got to do it over again. You cannot be the guy at what he does. I have marveled. I've watched Kurt Ordway walk around with his skinny legs in stilts and be absolutely at home. It looks scary. It's disturbing to see him. And he's just walking around, just gliding a blade, and magic is happening. Walls are, coming together, and seams are disappearing. I am amazed at what you guys do. That's your trade. I'm always humbled whenever I am having an opportunity. You carpenters, you real carpenters, you do things so fast and so proficiently. What your trade is, you know that trade. You spend time getting good at that on purpose. And it's not by accident. I mean, you really focus on it. You study and you practice, and it's amazing how God has given us the capacity to get good at those things that we do, and especially when you're motivated, right? Motivated. It's not a hobby. I'm in it for the money. I enjoy the work, but I'm trying to get paid here, right? Some of you have skills that I know. In fact, most of you, I will never have. I don't care to go after them. And it's a great thing when you do the thing you do so well that you don't have to do every other thing. You know what I mean? Because you do that thing so well, people give you money for doing it, whereby you are then able to hire people that do their thing really well. I don't know, I've never been fortunate enough to be there. Or maybe, I don't know. I always end up I've pulled engines, swapped them out, and I am no mechanic. I am very thankful for YouTube. In the past, you used to have to call a friend and say, come over here, help me, I have made a mess. Show me, talk me through this. It's an amazing thing, professions, aren't they? They really are. These men are professional fishermen. They're not hobbyists. These are guys who've had to go out for years and find fish. And one of them for sure has been really successful. His father's business, that's John, his Zebedee, both the sons of Zebedee here. And Zebedee has been big time as far as a very successful commercial fisherman. He has a little fleet. He has connections in Jerusalem. He's got connections all the way to the top of their government, including the high priest. Is the reason why John is known at the high priest's palace and able to get Peter in. So the pros, and they cannot find a fish. They know when, and they're there when. That's at night. Not in the daytime when the fish dive down to the greater depths. They're up closer where they can get them in the evening, but they got nothing. All day long, and somebody from the shore calls out to them, "Do you have any fish?" And they have to answer, and they answered him, "No." I wonder, was it 7 voices at the same time? No, all 7. Was it all 7 of them going, no, no. And that voice from the shore, verse 6, he said to them, "Cast the net on the right side of the boat and you'll find some." That is absolutely absurd, right? Which side of the boat? Somebody from the shore is telling us from the shore where out here in the lake the fish are. I'm absolutely convinced that when he said this, cast the net on the right side of the boat and you'll find some, so they cast. I'm sure, even though it's not recorded for us here that anybody said anything, I assure you that they looked at each other like, that's crazy. Do you think? I guarantee they all looked at each other, and if nobody said a thing, they did exactly what he said together. Not one of them, all 7 of them. Get that net in the water. Because we've experienced this before. But Peter retired, by the way. Left his net, so did James and John. On the biggest, most successful day at the absolute top of his fishing game. His fishing game had never had a day like that one. Remember that one? Well, the whole team, their boats were so full of fish that they were in danger of sinking. They're just flopping fish in so fast. They're not even paying attention to the boats getting lower and lower in the water. And they go, whoa, wow, wow. And then they're having to bail. And they're yelling for other boats to come. Well, that got the attention of the entire fishing community and all of the towns up there on the north side of that lake. Man. So this sounded just as crazy as that. They cast the net on the right side of the boat. They did it. And when they did, they were not able to haul it in because of the great number of fish. They could not get it in the boat. They're unable. Now that's what you want. That's a pleasure. Whether it's one fish so big you can't get him in the boat or a whole bunch of fishes. Isn't that just a dream, a fisherman's dream? This catch is too big. Imagine the moment when they first felt it. They throw the nets, they start pulling this, and then suddenly they can't pull the nets. Oh my goodness. And they're really laboring, really, truly pulling for all they have. They can't get it into the boat. Now, there may be another reason for that. It is right here in verse 7. Therefore, that disciple whom Jesus loved said to Peter, and his words, it is the Lord. Did he say, it is the Lord? Or did he say, it is the Lord? I was thinking that. It is the Lord. So when Simon Peter heard that, it was the Lord, he put his outer garment on, for he was stripped for work, and cast himself into the sea. Now that always seemed a little absurd to me. Was he like losing his mind out of it? Get dressed and jump in the water? All indications are it was a statement of respect. It's an indication. Now the Lord had at the Last Supper stripped down to what Peter was stripped down to for his work. Remember the Lord at the Last Supper took off all his garments, stripped down to just a towel like a humble slave. That's very humble. In this culture, people didn't strut around like that. It was shameful to be like that. It was shameful to be publicly shirtless. To be stripped down to the bare essentials, as a bunch of men would be in the dark on the lake, laboring hard. Nobody walked around like that. It was a very different culture. Simon Peter realized it's him, grabs his outer garments, puts them on, and jumps in. This is funny to me that he cast himself into the sea. One commentator suggested, it's just a suggestion, it's a thought. Wonder if he actually thought maybe for a second, I'll just walk on the water over to him. I want a rematch with that. Well, no, I guess I'm swimming. I don't know. But one thing seems clear to me. He wants to get there more urgently than everybody in the boat, and he wants to get there like the heck with a fish. Forget the fish, forget the boat, forget all my buddies. If that's him, if that's him, I'm going to him. Going to him. That I connect with, don't you? I connect with that. The desire to be with the Lord. Verse 8 says, but the other disciples came in the little boat, for they were not far from the land, but about 200 cubits away, dragging the net full of fish. They can't get in the boat, but they're rowing with it. That's like a drag chute. So they're not getting there real fast. They're towing. Verse 9, so when they got out on the land, they saw a charcoal fire in place and fish placed on it and bread. What a welcoming sort of scene. Fire of coals and breakfast. It's already been cooked. Isn't that cool? It's the welcoming. It's this thing. Lord's speaking to my heart about us as a church being more welcoming, and even as I just spend time in praying about it, Just doing the little things, those little gestures. But a fire, that's welcoming. Isn't it? It's a fire or a fireplace. The warmth of this whole presentation. They throw a charcoal fire and fish placed on it and bread. Jesus said to them, bring some of the fish which you've now caught. I like that, which you've now caught. This is a recent development. Bring some of the, because you had a rough night. But now you got some fish. Bring some. And here, Simon Peter went up and drew the net to land, full of large fish, 153. And although there were so many, the net was not torn, even being dragged on the shore. Now this is testimony that Simon Peter is a rugged dude. He doesn't say, you, help me with these fish. He once again asserts himself. He has the muscle to do this thing, and he grabs that whole thing and just starts hauling. I frankly picture the rest of the guys all standing there. Just standing there, looking at the Lord. Trying to process, excuse me, trying to settle all these questions. I think they're all in a state, they've just rowed. They rowed all the way up, towing that big thing, and they're just standing there. And Peter jumps into action and grabs 153 and just drags it over. And the nets don't break, and that's remarkable because the last time this kind of miracle took place, the nets were breaking and the boats were nearly sinking. John, fisherman himself, writes to us, those nets were not torn. Despite the action that Peter took with him and despite the size, the massive size of this catch. John is tuned into this. The net was not torn. Verse 12, Jesus said to them, come have breakfast. None of the disciples dared to question him, or they didn't dare to interrogate him. Who are you? Knowing that it was the Lord. Now exactly why it's so uncertain is unclear to us. Perhaps it is still too dim. Perhaps it is fog. Perhaps it's their own personal fog. Maybe the Lord doesn't look exactly the same on the other side of the cross. If he still has wounds in his hands, as he did in chapter 20, back in Jerusalem, then it's likely that he also has a big missing section in his beard as well, for the fulfillment of the prophecy from Isaiah, that he would not turn his back away from the smiters or his beard from those who would, his face from those who would pluck out his beard. Maybe all of that. But they don't, they kind of know it is him. In verse 13, Jesus came and took the bread and gave it to them, and the fish likewise. He's serving them. Once again, he's serving them. Same one who served them at the Last Supper, washing their feet, is now serving their food. In verse 14, John writes, this is now the third time that Jesus was manifested to the disciples after he was raised from the dead. This is the third big event, big showing. In verse 15, so when they had finished breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of John. Remember, the Lord had called him Peter, but now he goes back to his given name from his mom and dad, Simon. Simon, son of John. It's very formal. Do you love me more than these? Now, you note here that he doesn't tell us which these he's referring to. So that has given preachers room to preach. That maybe he was saying, do you love me more than these? Pointing at the fish. Do you love me more than these? Pointing at the other guys. I lean there. That's where I lean. Because it wasn't that Simon's whole case right up until the cross. I love you more than all these other losers. All of them. Everybody may forsake you, but not me. I am ready to go to prison and death with you. Do you love me more than these? He said to him, yes, Lord, you know that I love you. He said to him, tend my lambs. Now let me tell you something that our English translation doesn't reveal, because you may know this already. The classical Greek has 4 different words that we translate into love. We got one word in English, which is terrible, because people will say things, I love my dog. I love my children too. That should not be the same word. Maybe you think otherwise, but I don't think so. But you definitely wouldn't say, I love spaghetti and I love my children. It ought to be a different kind of word, don't you think? Spaghetti, I love spaghetti. I do. It's a strong word, but I like good spaghetti. No, actually, I love it. Was this one occasion of my life. I was in Italy just for a day. That's enough Italy for me, one day. I was there for one day, and I'm by myself alone, nobody to translate for me, and I just followed my nose. And I came into this outdoor cafe, Italian restaurant. Do I need to say Italian restaurant? I come into this restaurant, and I'm like, spaghetti! Like, I gotta say it like an Italian for something. Anyway, spaghetti, and they go, okay, spaghetti. The waiter's looking at me, and I'm making him nervous with my American tendencies and my aggression. My voice freaks people out in Europe. It's weird. I'm like, spaghetti and sausage. I think of, Italian sausage imported. I'm thinking, surely they're going to have good sausage here. And he's looking at all the other, nobody can help him out with what the American's saying. I'm like, meatballs. Even it doesn't matter if you go, meatballs. It ain't going to make any difference. They still don't understand what you're saying. Finally, somebody goes, carne. Carne! Now we're talking. There's a word I'm honing in on. Carne. And the guy's like, all right, okay. Carne. Okay. I'm trusting. He understands me. I wait, and he returns with spaghetti and this amazing melt-in-your-mouth steak. And it's not tomato, it's just olive oil, garlic, and steak. Man, it was so good. It was so good, I picked him up and hugged him. And I cracked his back. And it was magical. It was amazing. The word love is a strong word, but I felt intense passion. The spaghetti of the meal was so good, and I love the guy for getting it. But it's not like romantic love. I didn't hug a guy for like eros. That's that word. That's the most self-centered of all the loves. And then, of course, there's phileo. It's like brotherly, like, Philadelphia, city of brotherly love, Philadelphia. And then you got storge, right? It's kind of family, familiar, maybe even more friendship. You've got agape. Or I don't know how they pronounce it. Frankly, I've been hearing it, agape. I'll go with that. But I think it's like agape. I just don't like how that sounds. But that's the highest of all the loves. And it's the most selfless of all the loves. Well, the Lord initially says, Simon, do you agape me? And he said to him, yes, Lord, you know that I phileo you. You know. It's almost like, I like you a lot. It's not that Peter is having trouble expressing feelings. It's that Peter has been so very humbled. And his big talk, I love you more than anybody else does. I am your truest. You can count on me. And after that awful night, and betraying him, denying him, I should say, 3 times, Peter's been changed by this. And he doesn't claim to have, what he has is what he confesses to, what he admits is more what you might call reciprocal. And that's smarter when you're a human. To not talk big, like about you, as if your love is on the level of God's love. Our love for God is definitely reciprocal. It's us loving him back. We love him because of how much we've been loved. We come to know who he is and how he is and realize all that he's done for us. And this is the moment that Simon Peter's hand. You know what's really cool is the Lord goes, okay, feed my lambs. Tend my lambs. Tend my lambs. On this note, as our pastor Bill Gallatin was here recently talking to us men, Bill paused on this point to go, children really, really matter to the Lord. And to speak to us saying, you better make your children's ministry top priority and make a big investment. Make it the kind of place that parents want to bring their children. And they're at peace in bringing them there. Tend my lambs. This is the word of the Lord. He used the word, tend my lambs. And then verse 16, he said to him again a second time, Simon, son of John, do you love me? And he said to him, yes, Lord, you know that I love you. And he said to him, shepherd my sheep. I phileo you. He says it again. The big talking Peter has been left behind. And he's challenged here by the Lord with, do you love me? What do you say now, Simon? Well, shepherd my sheep. Verse 17, he said to him the third time, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Do you love me? And this time he uses Peter's word, phileo. Do you phileo me? This is really cool. He uses the same word. He said to him, Lord, you know all things. That's a new one, because this is something that Simon Peter had to learn. Lord, you know all things. I didn't used to think you did. Do you understand this? Both in John chapter 6, we read in John 6, where the Lord said, have not I chosen you 12, yet one of you is a devil. And on that moment, Simon Peter was like, no, Lord, we believe. And he's now the spokesman for all of them, including Judas. Imagine that discovery. So that's happened. One of you is a devil. Simon discovered, wow, one of us was a devil. He was right. He even told me something I couldn't believe about myself. I will deny him, not just once, not even just twice. I'll do it 3 times. And now on this third time, the Lord's asking the question. Simon's like, I know where you're going with this. Lord, you know all things. Okay, I know that now. I know this. You know all things. You know that I love you. And Jesus said to him, tend my sheep. So feed my lambs, shepherd my sheep, tend my sheep. You love me? Then do this. And the Lord would say that something like that to all of us, to every one of us. The greatest commandment is that we love God with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength. Second greatest commandment, that we love our neighbor as ourselves. The Lord would say, you love me? Love your fellow man. The Apostle John would write to us, it is an absolute impossibility to say you love God and you don't love humanity. You hate your brother, you're a liar. You don't love God. You've never even seen God. Self-deceived people think they love God, but they hate humanity. Here it is, verse 18, truly, I say to you, and this is the Lord who always says everything that's true. Truly. So this is way true. Truly, I say to you, when you were younger, you used to gird yourself and walk wherever you wished. And I guarantee he did too. I guarantee you. Simon Peter was the guy that walked where he wants. You did your will. You went where you wanted to go. Nobody got in your way. But when you grow old, you will stretch out your hands and someone else will gird you and bring you where you did not wish to go. So what happened with Simon Peter the night of the Lord's trial? Simon did all he could to avoid a cross. He said, I'm ready to go with you to prison and to death. Well, he was not ready to go with him to death. He discovered that. I will tell you something. Listen to me. You men know this. A failure like that will stay with you. Do you understand the Son of God? I don't believe that the Lord broke to him any bad news. I believe it was good news. I believe to Simon Peter, the Lord said, you're going to get another shot, and this time you'll embrace it. Somebody's going to lead you where you did not want to go. And it would happen. 3.5 decades later, the Simon Peter, under the orders of the Emperor Nero, would be crucified, and he would be so into it. He would embrace it. And he would say, it's just too great an honor for me. Can you please change it? Just turn me upside down. Crucify me upside down. How about it? That he actually had that influence with the executioners, that they went, why not? All right, and did. He thought that it is too great an honor. I will embrace crucifixion, but I'm not worthy to be hanging up there like our Lord did. Upside down. That's an off-the-wall thought, but I like it. I like it. Simon, just do me upside down, at least. And for all the right reasons, he would say this. For all the right reasons. The Lord told him, it's when you're older. When you grow old, you'll stretch out your hands. I'm sure the Lord did this. You'll stretch out your hands, and someone else will gird you, bring you to where you did not wish to go. Now, this he said, signifying by what kind of death he would glorify God. That's an honor. If you're Simon Peter, you don't go, oh, really? No, you're going, yeah! And on the inside, you're going, yeah. Because I really wimped out that last time. And that would eat at a man. And the Lord tells him, you will have the honor. This honor will be yours. I really believe that. This is part of it. This is not a statement of punishment. You understand what I'm saying to you? This is not, let me tell you something, you little punk. Despite you trying to avoid it, it's going to happen. That's not what the Lord was doing. It's not what he was saying. Can any of you guys in this room relate to this? That Peter's like, yes, oh yeah, thank you. And not like right away, but like when I'm old. Yeah, there's stuff to do. There's a mission. This he said, signifying by what kind of death he would glorify God. And when he had spoken this, he said to him, follow me. He'd said that to him before. That was how this whole thing began. Simon Peter's first calling was with those words, follow me. I believe the Lord said it with the same intensity. I think he said it like that, follow me. Go where I've gone. I assure you, a restored Simon Peter had tears in his eyes, and he was like, he's holding back any big words or any big talk. But on the inside, he's like, I'll follow you. Peter turning around. This is the dumb part. He can't escape the moment. Oh, I am so like him, and so are half of my friends in this room right now. Turning around, he saw the disciple whom Jesus loved following them. So that indicates that this Simon, you love me, was like on a walking. Simon turns around and sees John, how John identifies himself. He saw the disciple whom Jesus loved follow him, the one who also had leaned back on his bosom at the supper, and said, Lord, who is the one who betrays you? So Peter, seeing him, said to Jesus, Lord, what about this man? Isn't that weird? Okay, I'm dying on the cross. Awesome. What about him? That just does not compute to me. What about this guy? You got any good news for him? What about this one? It's just so strange. I can only imagine. I personally believe, it's not written here, but I personally believe the Lord chuckled, shook his head when he answered him. And his answer, Jesus said to him, if I want him to remain until I come, what is that to you? You follow me. Didn't I just say follow me? You, he emphasizes this pronoun thing. You follow me. I'm sure. There have been a number of times where I believe the Lord was just amused. Like that time Peter walked on water briefly. And I don't think the Lord is like, because help, Lord. He's got to go grab him. I like to picture him grabbing him by the beard. Good job. And dragging him and over to the boats. But I am absolutely sure on the way there, when the Lord said to him, why did you doubt? You were doing it. I'm sure the Lord was amused and smiling. He's not like, why did you doubt? I'm sure he was like, Simon, you had it, man. You were doing it. You blew. What happened? Why did you doubt? I think he's amused. I believe the Lord was like, I'm going to do something with this guy because he is out there. His request, if it's really you, Lord, invite me out. He gets out of the boat. Well, this is one of those. If I want him to remain till I come, what is that to you? You follow me. And I really believe the Lord would say that to you and me as well. You follow me. You ever hear that from the Lord? You're looking around at the crazy world. You hear the Lord go, you follow me. The simplicity of this, because at the beginning of this whole relationship that Simon has with him was him saying, you follow me and I will make you. I'm comforted by that because I don't have to make me. You don't have to make you. What do you got to do? Follow him. Well, verse 23, John ends this epistle with this. Therefore the saying went out among the brothers that this disciple would not die. Yet Jesus did not say to him that he would not die, but only if I want him to remain until I come. What is that to you? So they got around. And you know, there were times, no doubt, where people were like, he won't die. He can't die. All the other guys were dying. Decades ahead, not just Peter, but all of them were dying martyr's death except John. But John himself said, no, that's not what he said. I was there. He said, if I want him to remain, what is that to you? Verse 24, this is the disciple who is bearing witness to these things and wrote these things. And we know that his witness is true. And there are also many other things which Jesus did, which if they were written one after the other, I suppose that even the world itself could not contain the books that would be written. All the things that he did.
Hey, thanks for listening. We pray that the Word of God will speak to your heart as you meditate on it. If we can help you grow, or if you have any questions, you can visit us at our website at ccbangor.org. Give us a phone call at area code 207-991-9555, or you can shoot us an email at office@ccbangor.org. On behalf of Pastor Ken and all of us here at Calvary Chapel Central Maine, we wish you grace and peace.